and welcome to Desert Island Films, my show hosted by Gashead Steve, which is me. Tonight I have a guest that I've spoken to on many occasions, a fantastic YouTuber, goes by the name of NovaBug. Chris, are you there?
Hello, yes. How you doing, Steve? You alright?
Yes, very good, mate. And you?
Fantastic. I've had brilliant news today, but we're not going to divulge that yet.
No, please. You zip.
Zip on that, yes. It's pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent, good. Have you done your research? Do you know what the show's all about?
I do know what the show's all about. Yes, yes. I would say it was a blatant rip-off, but you already know that, don't you?
Cough. No, absolutely not. This is the original idea.
Okay.
It's
Radio 4.
Cough. Desert Island games, stroke CDs, stroke music, stroke films.
Anything you want.
Yeah, films are the original. So basically, the show involves NovaBug. I've invited him down to my desert island, as you do. My corner of the desert island. The other corner is obviously occupied by another channel, JL76 Gaming, and I've invited Chris over to my corner of the island, and he is able to bring 8 films with him, and he can bring an additional 2 films that he hasn't seen and he really should have seen by now. So obviously we'll have a discussion on his picks on that. So Chris, if you're ready,
yeah,
can I get your first pick?
It is. I'll start with my all-time favourite film. So that'll be the number 1 pick, and that is The Fifth Element.
Oh, brilliant film!
Fantastic, love it.
Can you tell us why? Why? Actually, I already know because I've seen the film.
Yeah, I love it's the combination of the sci-fi, the comedy aspect, the action sequences, the cast, the fact that it doesn't take itself too seriously. I love that, and more so than anything else is Luc Besson's camera direction. I think is absolutely sublime on that film.
Yeah, completely. Visually, it was amazing at the time. It still stands up today, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's some very clever sequences, especially with the bomb sequence, the countdown sequence when they're on the phone call, going through the space customs kind of thing. It's brilliant. It's it's so easy to watch. You may not be able to follow the plot sometimes because it is a natural sci-fi, but it doesn't matter because it's very easy to watch and very enjoyable to watch for them reasons, and funny as fuck as well. Yeah,
it's got a real slapstick humour on it, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. And I tell you what, because when it first came out, I was reading the synopsis about it, and I was a bit put off by the fact that most of the costumes were designed by Jean-Paul Gaultier, and that sort of it's going to be very camp and all day glow. Yes, it is a bit day glow, but it just comes across so well and very cleverly done. And they managed to, if you can manage to put Bruce Willis in a day glow orange vest and still gets away with being a hard man, it's genius.
Yeah, completely. For Gary Oldman looks different, should we say?
Oh yeah, but Gary Oldman, he's the ultimate chameleon, isn't he? I mean, one of my favourite ever actors actually is Oldman. He pulls off the complete lunatic convincingly, but then he also pulls off the real good guy convincingly as well.
Yeah, completely. So in regards to the film, I mean, obviously the storyline we won't sort of diverge too much into. What was your favourite part in the film? What was your standout moment?
There's so many. Like I said, the camera sequences where it switches between one scene and another in real time, they're all brilliant. Some people will go on about, is it the guy that plays Ruby Rod, his name escapes me at the moment, but some people sort of say, oh, he's screaming too much, it gets annoying. I don't actually find that annoying, I find that quite comedic.
Yeah.
But it isn't any of his parts. It's probably, I think the part where the Fifth Element herself, Mila Jovovich, or whatever you want to call her, who's rather stunning in that film.
Yeah, she's a good-looking lady, isn't she?
Very good, especially with that red hair. Well, but the bit where she's escaping from the institute, where they've got her in where they've just rebuilt her from the hand.
Yeah.
And when she's escaping, and then she falls into Corbin's cab, and they have the chase sequence in the sky from the police and everything. I think that's probably one of my favourite parts of the film, because you got Corbin battling with the traffic, and his cab is showing it in there. Oh, he's lost points and he's lost his license, and the police are chasing him. And there's a nice little parody bit where the police get knocked, they're getting shitloads of McDonald's, and all that gets blown out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is very clever, isn't it?
Very, very frantic, and it's very clever, yeah. And I think, and all that time you've got this confusing dialogue between Corbin and Lilu, because she's talking in the pure language, and he doesn't understand what he's saying, but he's still trying to drive and everything.
Yes.
It's very frantic, but extremely funny and very enjoyable.
But we all know what multipass means, don't we?
Yeah, multipass. Oh, Corbin Dallas multipass. Yes.
Multipass. Yeah. Well, look. Despite my last previous shows, I've actually done my research.
Wow.
Yes, I know. I'm very proud. At this present time, I'm patting myself on the back.
Good.
So I'll give you a few little bits of trivia to do with The Fifth Element. It was the budget was £80 million. For the special effects, which at the time was the highest in Hollywood.
I tell you what, it shows.
Yeah.
Because the special effects are fantastic in it.
Yeah, completely. And another little bit, talking about money, which, let's face it, we all talk about money. At the time, it was the most expensive film ever produced outside Hollywood.
Wow. I didn't know that.
$80 million. In the future, New York City, Central Park is the same size as the real one, and it's in the same place. However, it's 100 feet in the air.
Above all the smog and the clouds and all that, yeah.
Yeah. So, another one is Luc Besson. Is that how you pronounce it? Besson?
Yeah, the director, yeah.
When he done the original screenplay, he was still in high school.
Bloody, is it one of his first films, was it?
Yeah, it was. Well, do you know what? I haven't done my research that much, but if he's writing it in high school, I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of his first films.
I think it must have been.
Yeah.
Must have.
That's it. That's the root of my sort of research. So
I've got a couple of tidbits about it if you wish to divulge. Of course, you got the cameo by Lee Evans.
Yes.
In it, which is a great sequence. When did he learn to negotiate like that? That bit. And you've also got the police captain, who I mentioned earlier, gets his McDonald's knocked off his police car.
Yeah.
The police captain is played by Mac McDonald, who is also Captain Hollister in Red Dwarf.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good info. Actually, saying that, I think I've got that one as well. But I chose not to use it. I left it for you.
We see. You got to leave it to the Red Dwarf fan for that.
or leave it to the pro, maybe. But yeah. So just to recap, mate, what was your number one pick? Obviously, your number one film as well.
Yeah, my number one film and my number one pick for The Desert Island is The Fifth Element. Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich, and directed by Luc Besson.
And what a wonderful film it is too. So moving on to pick number 2.
This is a sequel. And it's probably, aside from Terminator 2, which I believe has been picked already, it's probably one of the best sequel films ever, bettering its original film, and that is Aliens.
And it was on the other night. I tried to take a picture, but it was all dark.
I saw. Yes, all I saw was a black screen. It was quite reminiscent of the film.
which is actually, do you know what? They must have worked on the picture quality, because when I was watching it, it was obviously in HD.
Yeah.
But when I was watching it, it was lighter. It was much lighter, actually.
And the scenes in the Sulaco.
Yeah. You could actually see, the sides of the walls and the floors and everything. So
brilliant.
Yeah, it was it was a really good watch, actually. I only watched like 20 minutes of it because Commando was on the other side, so I switched it.
Come on, Aliens is better than Commando.
Well, you know what, it is, but I fancy a bit of cheese, so Commando's had my attention.
Fair enough.
So why Aliens, Chris?
Where's the classic sci-fi story? I'm a big fan of the classic sci-fi alien versus human story. If you don't know, one of my favourite books is The War of the Worlds. And when I saw the original Alien, the classic scene always did it for me. The classic John Hurt chestburster scene did it for me. Aliens takes it to another level because you've not only got a classic chestburster scene in that, you've also got multiple aliens this time. Hardcore renegades, not renegades, like special military. They've all got their personalities and characters. You've also got the bent, corrupt company that are pulling the wool over our lead girl's eyes. That's another thing I like about it, is it's a leading lady in a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
And you don't, and I do like sci-fi horrors that have leading ladies instead of leading men.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's something. Halloween is another one that I really admire because Jamie Lee Curtis is the lead in that.
Yeah.
Being a classic horror.
Because you don't expect it.
No.
You know the woman to be the screaming, the falling over one.
Yeah.
Whereas you know, like you said about Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis and Sigourney Weaver, obviously they're both kick-ass. They've both been pushed that limit that it's like, right, fuck off, you're having some now. It's
also a stark contrast from her role in Ghostbusters as the sort of the townsperson with all the craziness going around her. In this, she is fully aware of the mental, crazy, psycho stuff that's going along, and everyone won't listen to her.
Yeah. The thing, she's more aware than everybody else,
she knows exactly what's going to happen because she's seen it firsthand. These things are just relentless killers.
Yeah.
And you can't capture them. You can't fight them barely. They're just awesome. And that's another thing about it that I really, really like is Geiger's depiction, the artwork, the modelling, the animatronics are so well done. So well done.
Yeah.
The Queen alien is unbelievably gruesomely awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. You know, I remember when you first see that, and it's like you actually really get a feel of the magnitude of the size of this thing, because obviously there's some aliens there, and it's like, fucking hell, they're big enough, and then you see like the mother alien, it's badass.
Oh, that scene when she walks into the nest and the eggs are everywhere, and the Queen alien's there in the corner, huffing and puffing, and you think, oh my fucking god, how the fuck is she going to get out of this one?
Yeah, completely.
You know, that is it's haunting. It's a scary film. It really is a scary. It's action packed because it's an action packed film. It's got. I do like films that don't emphasize gore too much, but just put enough in to get the point.
Yeah.
And I think most of the Alien films do that. Maybe not Alien 3, but Aliens especially does that. It's actually got the least amount of gore in it compared to the other 3 films.
Yeah.
But it's still considered the most violent, which is weird.
Yeah, completely. I mean, it's you know, obviously let's not talk about 3 because it's actually a film that I enjoyed. However, when it comes after such a badass film like Aliens, it's very disappointing. And I do remember like really looking forward to Alien 3 and walking out really disappointed, but acknowledging that it was a half decent film. It just wasn't as badass as Aliens.
That was the problem. It followed a very, very strong film, and there's lots of things. I could watch Aliens a lot. I don't say that a lot about horrific sci-fis. I generally keep them down to a minimum, but Aliens is one of those that is an exception.
Yeah, completely. Out of all of the action scenes and the whole sort of like awesome film that is Aliens, what's your favourite part?
I really like the part that they cut out of the cinematic version.
Oh, okay.
The auto sentry sequence where they have they set the 2 auto sentries up onto the entrance to where they are in the med lab.
Yeah.
And that was cut out of the original cinematic version, but on the director's cut version, that's put back in. That's a really, really good scene because it builds the tension up because you're watching the counters of the auto sentries count down and you can hear the aliens approaching. And also legendary with the Alien franchise is the sound of the motion sensor.
Yeah.
That is up there with sound effects like Ghostbusters, with the sound effect of the ectometer.
Is that right at the end of the film?
No, it's midway through the film. That is.
Right.
It's when a few of them are left. Most of them have been killed already. So you've got Gorman, Vasquez, Burke, obviously Bishop, Newt, Ripley, and the other fellas. My favourite character in it. Bill Paxton. Hudson. He's a brilliant character, and of course one of the survivors, which is name escapes me. Corporal Hicks. That's it.
Yeah, that's what is his name?
I've forgotten the actor name for that. Is it Michael Bean?
I just heard you typing that.
No, I didn't know. I was actually tapping on my pad here.
Yeah, of course it's Michael Bean.
Yes, he's Reese. He's Reese in Terminator.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. He fits that really well.
My favourite part is when they first encounter the aliens, and they're basically like walking around, and they've got that sort of little sat nav thing.
The motion sensor.
Yeah, that's the one. And you can hear that bleep, 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 and then you see them all closing in. It's like there's something moving in here, man. It ain't us.
That's Hudson. Hudson's cries of because he comes across as such a hard man with all his wisecracks. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when these things come at him, he turns into a gibbering wreck.
Yeah,
I do like the way he goes out. The way he goes out is awesome because he goes out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, and the characters deserve that as well.
They do. I think they're very strong characters, all of them.
Yeah, completely. Well, that leads me nicely onto my trivia, which I've done my research.
Yeah.
So, trivia point number 1. Like most films, the movie wasn't shot in sequence. But for added realism, James Cameron filled the scene where they first meet the Colonial Marines, one of the earliest scenes, last. That was so they had the camaraderie. That's the one, thank you. Of the Marines was more realistic because the actors obviously spent months filming together. So again, I found that really strange when I was a wee lad, and I found out that films weren't filmed start to finish. I got all confused. Hey, I keep filming a film like that, but
do all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point because there is proper in the actual point in the film. There is proper sort of like backslapping, high-fiving, which really comes across like they've worked together before.
It's a good chemistry.
Yeah, completely.
With all the Marines, especially.
Yeah, exactly. And they're sort of like, don't give a fuck. That's it. So
you kind of do believe that Sergeant Apone is their commanding officer, for instance.
Exactly. Exactly. They've got that kind of respect for him, even though they're just piss-taking bastards. But he has the final say on everything. So number 2, the knife trick was not in the original shooting script. According to Lance Henriksen, the adding of Hudson's hand-to-knife trick was discussed with almost everybody apart from Bill Paxton.
Because it was Bishop who performed it.
Yeah, it was Bishop, but Bill Paxton, who had the old
done to him,
knife thing done to him, didn't know anything about it. So I'm presuming they all sat down, put your hand there, mate. Let me. Obviously, it wasn't a real knife and everything, but it is quite an interesting fact, I think. This is one when I was a lad, when I was a wee lad, I used to do this all the time. When when you get a countdown, you got 10 seconds to escape this alien ship that's about to like crash into Earth.
Yeah.
And it takes them about an hour to get there, and then they escape, and just in time is like that wasn't 10 seconds. In both the standard and special edition versions, the 15-minute countdown at the end of the film, which is why I asked you whether that countdown was at the end or.
Oh yeah. That Pacific countdown is at the end. Yeah.
Is indeed 15 minutes.
Yeah. I think yes, it is because the real action when she's searching through the alien tunnels, rescues Newt, as the Queen Alien chasing after her, and eventually, and Bishop comes in at the last minute to rescue her.
Mate, I bet that was a long 15 minutes of fucking Sigourney Weaver. Or
that lift sequence is brilliant.
Isn't it just?
That is tension filled or what?
Yeah.
That bit.
So Sigourney Weaver's Best Actress Academy Award nomination for this movie. I'm not reading this. This is obviously sort of top of my head. Nomination for this movie was the first ever for an actress in an action role in an action movie.
Yeah, and damn right, deservedly so.
Yeah, completely. Bill Paxton, talking about Bill Paxton. According to Bill Paxton, he improvised most of his lines, including...
I know what you're going to say.
Game over, man!
Game over, man! Game over! We're into pretty shit now, man!
Awesome. And just to come out of that is fucking genius.
That's a legendary line, that is.
Isn't it? Yeah, and it really is one of those things that, let's talk about aliens. Game over, man! Game over! Talk about that. So, and finally, for my research, this is a good one, Chris. Are you sitting down?
Yeah, I'm sitting down.
Good man. The word fuck is used 25 fucking hell.
25? 26 now.
Rather, yeah. It's used 25 times in the film. 18 of those is spoken by Hudson.
Yeah, not surprised. Not surprised.
Genius. So that's your pick number 2, which is
Aliens.
Fantastic film.
James Cameron directs, and Sigourney Weaver, Bill Paxton, and the other guy.
that random guy.
That guy that plays Reese in Terminator. That's it.
That's the one.
Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn. Yeah. So we are moving on to pick number 3. Mm-hmm. Which is?
Massive change of pace here from 2 sci-fi epics. This, in this list, if I'm going to take a selection of films, a limited selection of films, I want to have a range of genres.
Okay.
So with 2 sci-fis, one obviously horrific, one comedy. This we go to animation, and this is a traditional animation, and probably my favourite animation from my childhood, and that's Watership Down. Yeah. Have a cry.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh my word!
I kind of know what happens. I kind of know that as soon as you mention Watership Down, that part in the film. So I kind of know what it's about.
You know about the Bright Eyes sequence, basically.
No.
The Art Garfunkel Bright Eyes bit. That's what everyone says, and synonymous with the film. But I tell you what, it's more than that.
Not I hear. Anyway, go on. Tell me about why Watership Down is...
I'll tell you what. Right. I can tell you what. Watership Down is an animation that's supposed to be for children, and I guarantee you it's not. It is probably one of the most violent animations that was ever made in its context. Right? There is a mass amount of blood in it, and I mean it. It really is. The story is, if anyone doesn't know, it's about a group of rabbits. Shut the fuck up.
Sorry, come on.
It's about a group of rabbits who leave their warren because one of the rabbits has a prophecy that the warren will be destroyed. They leave the warren looking for a safe place to live, and you follow them on their travels. And they meet an evil group of rabbits. They come across predators. They finally find their haven, which is this Watership Down place, a hill, and then they have to defend their home. And that's basically the story. But I tell you what, the sequences in it are there's some nightmarish sequences in it where the prophecy, the rabbit who has the prophecies keeps looking at these nightmarish dream sequences, seeing blood spilt all over the field. There's one of the lead rabbits get caught in a snare trap. They don't hold back on all the froth and blood spilling out of his mouth when he's choking to death. What are you doing?
You know exactly what I'm doing. This sounds good.
There's a sequence where they have to get a dog to attack the other rabbits, and this dog just openly tears all the other rabbits apart right in front of you. And there's even a bird that swears, and this is supposed to be for children.
Yeah, what do you remember what certificate it was? I
think it was a U. It was a U.
Bloody hell.
Honestly, think it was a U. And at one point, the bird Kiar, when they meet the seagull Kiar, he tells the rabbits to piss off. At one point,
I like it.
Yeah,
all films should be like that.
It gave me nightmares as a child.
Yeah,
but I love it. But I love it for that reason.
Yeah. Excellent. So, right, I haven't seen the film, so I'm not going to give you my favourite moment. But what's your favourite moment?
Well, it's got John Hurt and Richard Bryars in it for starters.
Yeah.
Let you know that the main character is voiced by John Hurt, which is Hazel, who becomes the leader of the rabbits. And Richard Bryars plays the Prophecy Rabbit Fiver, and there's a few other guest voices in it. My favourite part is probably one of the most darkest parts of it, and that is when they meet a previous captain rabbit from when they were in their original warren. One of their captain rabbits tried to stop them from escaping. He eventually finds them on their travels, and he tells them of how the warren got destroyed, and you see this vision of all the rabbits getting suffocated underground by the warren being filled in, and the blood pouring down the warren, and it's quite a nightmarish sequence animation wise. Like I said, for kids it isn't, but that's my.
This sounds grim, which moves me on to my trivia part. The first one is basically what you've just brushed on in regards to the violence and the blood and the gore and everything. 33 years later, so 33 years since it was released, the British Board of Film Classification is still receiving complaints about the film.
Yeah. It got massive amounts of complaints. Massive.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. I mean, obviously, even though times have moved on and you can get away in a sort of like a 12 film where you hear the word fuck and bugger and shit and bollocks and stuff like
get as many swear words in as possible there.
Yeah. And still sort of receive complaints about it is pretty deep, I'd say. So this was the first film to feature both John Hurt, which you've mentioned, and Nigel Hawthorne.
Nigel Hawthorne, that was the other guy. Yes.
Both would later star together in two other animated features, The Plague Dogs, which I do remember, and which was also based on a Richard Adams book, and The Black Cauldron, which was a pile of shite, if I remember rightly. Most of the locations in this movie either exist or were based on real places in Hampshire, England, and surrounding areas.
Yeah, that's right. They are. Yeah.
So there we go. That's what my research gets you.
They speak. The rabbits speak Lepine as well.
Oh,
which is a fictitious language of rabbits, which is based off their Latin terminology of Lepine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because when you talk about the gore and the violence level, this was if anyone doesn't know, this was released in 1978.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I was 2.
Yeah. I was 1. But I saw this in the 80s, and I tell you what, everyone, if you go onto IMDb or whatever, even look at the cover art, and the cover art to the original cover art is grim as hell.
It is grim.
It's got a rabbit caught in a snare. I mean, it is a grim film. But
I keep picking that up and then I keep picking that off the shelves and think right, we're going to have some fun with this, kids.
Yeah. That's why I like it though. That's why I like it so much, because it's so anti-contemporary to what it should be.
Yeah. The funny thing you said there was obviously you watched it in the 80s. Now, back in the day, I was talking about this the other day. Back in sort of like 1978?
78 it was released. I think I watched this film when I was 6 years old, so that would have been 94. No, 93. 93. Sorry.
It would have been on the cinema
83.
around about 70, 78,
Mm.
79. It would never have been released on video.
No.
For another 4 years. So you probably seen it when it was all released and there was hype, and so on and so forth. So.
Well, we actually got it. I vividly remember it. We went. My father rented it from a video truck. Do you remember them?
Yeah. We had one.
The video vans that used to come around. We rented it from a video van, and he was going. They changed the cover to make it look more childlike. Yeah, that original cover with the strangled rabbit. They changed it to make it look a little bit more tamer. But it was still a U, so he got it as an animation, and we were getting. I mean, the videos he used to get us at the time were like Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny and all that kind of stuff. He got this thing. Oh, it's a nice animation for the kids. We sat down watching it. First 5 minutes in this, when like all these animals get murdered. It's like, what? Oh, what are we watching? Oh, all these bloody animals are getting killed, and there's blood everywhere. What the hell's going on?
Your local video man driving off with a big smile on his face.
Yeah. It was the first time I saw it. It was the stuff of nightmares. The first time I saw it, it was. But I suppose you could say it was. It bedded you in for the realities of life.
yeah, I'd say horrifying realities of life. Right, so that was pick number 3, which was
Watership Down.
Watership Down. So moving on. Oh,
I was about to say written by Richard Adams, starring Nigel Hawthorne, Richard Bryars, and John Hurt.
Excellent. And it's still receiving complete. No, I've done that, haven't I? Moving on to pick number 4.
Right, comedy film now. Let's lighten things up. Probably one of my favourite comedy films because it's also very clever. Great interplay between the two leads, and that's Trading Places.
Oh no. Trading. I love Trading Places. And why? Again, as if I don't know, it's just a fantastic film. Why Trading Places, Chris?
I think, and a lot of Ghostbusters fans are going to kill me for this, but I think that is Aykroyd's finest performance. I think he's brilliant in it.
Do you know what? I actually agree with you. I think because he has like a standalone character, doesn't he?
Yeah.
With Ghostbusters is kind of shared between them, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. And switching between obviously the upper class Lewis and when he gets destitute, gets stuck on the street by the two evil conglomerate brothers.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant interplay. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis in it as well. When she was in her prime.
And if I remember, you saw her in her prime in the mirror.
Oh, she did. Yes, in the mirror. Yes, the classic scene where she gets her babbies out in the mirror. Food and drink are not the only things free here. You sleep on the couch.
And if that's not a good enough reason to run out and watch the film, I don't know what is.
No, yes, it is. And of course, on the flip side of that, you've got Eddie Murphy again in his pomp around the Beverly Hills Cop time as well, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
With all the classic wisecracks, the typical Eddie Murphy style that we know back in the mid '80s.
Yeah. What happened to him? I mean, did he just stop getting funny?
It seemed that way, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Boomerang did it for him.
Yeah.
After Boomerang, that was it. He wasn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
But when he was funny in the 80s, all the 3 Beverly Hills Cops, maybe not the 3 ones so far, much, but Trading Places and obviously Trading Places' spiritual sequel, which is coming to America.
That was a great film. There was also the Golden Child was a bit of a hit and miss one, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was all right, not too bad. But Trading Places is you got a brilliant interplay between Aykroyd and Murphy in that. Obviously, the poor, the beggar, the black beggar, and they're all playing off the stereotypes of white rich person, poor black person, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter fucking shit all because they're all sitting on the beach. They've all won the day together, and they're all good best buds, and that's what I love about it. Good feel good ending.
Yeah.
And apart from that, there's fucking hilarious sequences in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious sequences.
The one where he's on the when he's on the little skateboard thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's pretending to be a blind Vietnam veteran.
Yeah, no, that's fucking hilarious.
That bit you've got. Well, we'll come to that. We'll come to one of them parts is actually one of my funniest parts. It's an Aykroyd bit, but it's one of my funniest sequences. You've also got the pomposity of the brothers. Oh, their name escapes me. The company's named after them, isn't it? In it.
The Duke Brothers.
Duke Brothers, that's it.
And I did not research that. That's just come up to the top of my head.
That's good, very good, very. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
very stuck up, and anyone below them is shit, and all that. You've also got some real good butlery shenanigans from Colm. Is it Coleman something like that?
Who's
the guy that plays the butler.
Oh yeah.
Coleman.
Yeah, it is Coleman, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Very apt, isn't he? He's
very deadpan. He's got some great looks in his face, and
no class.
Yeah.
So then moving on to your favourite part.
Well, that is the part where Lewis is absolutely obliterated and desperate, and he's dressed up as Santa Claus, pissed out of his skull. And he goes into Duke and Duke's. He's nicking all the food off the buffet table, stuffing it into his beard and his suit. He then goes into his old office where Valentine is now residence of, and he plants all the drugs in the drawer. And Valentine catches him, and it's when he sort of like said, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Put that phone down." And he pulls out a steak in his hand, and he says, "No, not that." And he goes, "Oh. Can you give me security?" And he pulls out the gun. Security? Ah, Merry Christmas. And he puts that down. And then he says, "Look, I'm not the drug pusher. He's the drug pusher. He's got cocaine grinder, drug needles, joints, fucking everything, pills, red ones, blue ones, everything."
Right, again, when he was funny.
That was hilarious. And then, of course, the end of that sequence is when he's gone back onto the bus and he's eating the salmon through his beard.
Oh, yeah.
On the bus. And then finally, of course, it ends on a bit of a assault because he gets off the bus, holds the gun to his head to try and kill himself, and the gun misfires, right? So he throws it away, and then it fires.
How's your luck, mate? How's your luck? So then, right, okay, yeah. So many funny parts in that. So many sort of like good.
Fantastic. Could watch it over and over again. It took me ages to work out what the hell's going on. By the way, in the World Trade Center sequence.
I remember
that bit. I had to watch that several times. Hang on a minute. What are they doing here?
Yeah.
You get the kind of what they're trying to do. They're trying to obviously screw the Dukes.
Yeah.
But you can't understand. I don't get how trades work and all this bollocks going on. It looks mental and crazy. But yeah, you've watched that several times over that sequence. Oh, I forgot the bit in the train, of course. The bit with the train with Clarence Beeks, the lunatic who wants to kill them all.
That is funny.
That's fucking hilarious because they're all dressing up as. You got Aykroyd who dresses up as a Rastafarian.
Yeah. But you know, again, it sounds like you said about Aykroyd doing the Rastafarian thing. That sounds funny on its own, but when you've already bought into that character, when you've already bought into where his kind of storyline's going,
yeah,
it's extra funny.
It's very clever. Very clever.
So right, moving on to my trivia. Premiere voted this movie as one of the 50th greatest comedies of all time in 2006.
Damn right.
They should vote that every single year.
Yeah, it's one of the best comedies.
Yeah, it's hilarious, and it hasn't really dated, has it? No, it hasn't at all. So its tongue is firmly in its cheek, and it's firmly set in the yuppie 80s. Yeah,
and that's where you picture it, and that's where it belongs, and that's why it's so good even today.
Yeah, quite. The original title. Now this is a bit. The original title was Black and White.
Ooh, goodness me! I'm glad they didn't go with that.
I wonder why they changed that.
Yeah.
Now the only part of trivia that anybody needs to know is in the opening montage of the Philadelphia, there is a shot of the Rocky statue.
Is it?
Rocky 3, 1982. I need to watch Trading Places again.
I didn't know that.
That was released the previous year, so it was obviously sort of like 1983 that it came out. So, and we're still sitting at the top of the Rocky Steps in the front of the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Oh, cool.
That is pretty wicked. The statue has moved now, hasn't it? Because there was some complaints, which is
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
A pile of crap, I think. So, so brilliant. So your pick of number 4 was the fantastic
Trading Places. Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd, brilliant.
Excellent. Now moving on to number 5.
Steve,
Chris,
can I stop you there for a second? I need to go for a wee.
Well, mate.
You can do that in the edit, can't you? Sorry.
No, fuck you. I'm leaving that in.
Oh, sorry, mate.
No,
Don't leave that in. You leave that in, I'll have you. Right, hello, mate.
All right, buddy. Bye.
Sorry about that. Right, you go when you're ready.
Okay, cool. Right, so then moving on to number 5, Chris.
Yep. This is a proper classic, and again, this stems from the films that my father shoved down my throat in the 80s. But it's got 2 classic action heroes of the 70s in it, and that is the Towering Inferno.
Ooh, that is a classic.
Yeah. And Steve McQueen, Paul Newman. I think it's over 2.5 hours long. This film, it's a proper epic.
Yeah, and it keeps on giving as well, doesn't it?
It does.
Just when you think something's sorted,
yep.
the ceiling falls in, or there's another like outbreak of fire, or
it is. Yeah, 74 just came out. So yeah, there you go. For 5 years before I was even born. But when I first watched this, it was again one of those films that I think this was mid-80s now, so I would have been approaching 10 years old, I think. And my dad loved all the 70s films, as they do of that generation. And he said it was I think it was just on, and he said, "Oh yeah, this is a really good film." And we were like, as kids, "What's it about?" It's about a massive skyscraper that catches fire, and we're like, that sounds really cool. And we watched it, and you can see that this film inspired a lot of other films. I think a lot of elements in it, particularly Die Hard.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, do you know what? Never thought of that, but yeah, completely.
Completely. And I do believe that it was one of them films that they used to show yearly on one of the cable channels, Skype channels, whatever. Yeah. But since that fateful day that we should not mention, I don't believe it's been shown that regularly.
It was on. My wife would have been telling you this because she's an avid fan. It was on not that long ago.
She's a woman of taste.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. Well, she married me. What else do you want?
That's only because she met you before me.
Point taken. Yeah, so it was only a couple of months ago that it was on telly.
Oh well, that's a surprise to me because I haven't seen it scheduled on regular TV for many years now.
Yeah.
So with all the knee-jerk media reaction might get, but then again, this is a film like created almost 20 years, prior to them events, and you can't foresee these kind of things, can you? And this obviously is nothing to do with that because this is about something that occurs because of budget cuts. That's basically why it happens in the event of the film.
Something to do with lack of security or lack of like.
No, it's to do with Newman plays the architect, and he designed the tower.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be the largest tower ever built, business in San Francisco, 82 stories high, something like that. So it's massive. Oh, maybe even taller than that. No, over 130 stories high. It's supposed to be the world's tallest skyscraper. And because of budget cuts, he had to make design changes to certain things, and he had to hire. It all transpires this in the film. You don't know this at the beginning, of course. Yeah. It transpired that they had to hire like crappy electricians and things like that, and that's the reason why the fire starts is because of bad electronics.
Yeah.
Put in the film, and no one, and of course he has the face off with the the fire chief, which is Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
One of my favourite action heroes, by the way, Steve McQueen of the 70s. I thought he was.
He is class, isn't he?
He's a hard man, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, you certainly wouldn't mess with him.
And he has this classic. There's a classic face-off between him and the architect, basically constantly running through the film about, you designed this bloody thing. You never thought about what if it catches fire, all these people will die, and the whole thing will come. Is a lot of psychological stuff going on, a lot of obviously political commentary. But in the midst of all that, there are people dying and catching fire and chucking themselves out of the building, and then obviously you've got people like it's littered with stars actually. Richard Chamberlain, Robert Wagner, Robert Vaughn, O.J. Simpson is in this.
Is he really?
Yeah, I think he plays. Does he play one of the firemen? I think he might play one of the firemen.
Kind of like a bit part, or
like a bit part. But even Fred Astaire is in it as well. Fred Astaire is actually he's one of the old hosts on the because they're having a party while this disaster happens as well.
Yeah, I remember. So right, in regards to a favourite part of this film, there are quite a few.
There's so many. The bit, I think my favourite part, the bit at the end when they extinguish the fire is epic. It really is epic. When they had this, the idea of blowing up the water tanks that are in the roof to douse the entire building, and you get this. It's like a 15-20 minute sequence of the water, isn't it? Tearing people away from their lashings and stuff. That's an epic sequence. But I think my favourite sequence is the idea when they come up with the Beaches Boy, where they have this cage that travels that can rescue one person at a time to the adjacent building.
Yeah.
And the character, played by Richard Chamberlain, who's desperate, or some desperate lawyer or something he plays, he tries to take over. I'm going fucking first. Blah blah blah. He pushes everyone out the way. Causes a great big hoo-ha.
Spoiler. Go on.
Spoiler. Yeah. He causes a great big hoo-ha. He jumps on the Beaches Boy, and everyone's trying to fight him to get on this boy. It swings out into mid-air, like with 3 or 4 people on. He's trying to beat these people off, knocks them down off the buoy. They fall to their death. Eventually, he does as well, which is a nice ending for him.
Yeah, well deserved too. Right, so the trivia that I've done so much research on is pretty much based on prima donnas. Well, they're not prima donnas, but obviously you have some strong characters there. So we have got a couple.
What's that?
Oh, hold on. Right, I was watching something on YouTube on my phone. It's just cut back in. How strange is that? Right, so yeah, talk about prima donnas. I'm one of them. At Steve McQueen's insistence, he and co-star Paul Newman had to have exactly the same number of lines in dialect.
Yes, I heard that. Yes, yeah. That is a very interesting trivia about it. Yes, I've mentioned that myself.
They both had top billing as well, didn't they? They both had like Steve McQueen and Paul Newman.
Joint leads.
Steve McQueen and Faye Dunaway left strict instructions that they should not be approached by visitors on the set. Fucking wankers. McQueen also refused to give any interviews. Paul Newman asked only that he not be surprised. Paul Newman's another class actor as well. He used to like in quite a few films, but this is an interesting one, which I'm pretty sure you would, because this is quite well known if I remember. During filming, an actual fire broke out on set, and Steve McQueen found himself briefly helping real firemen put it out. One of the firemen, not recognising McQueen, said to the actor, "My wife is not going to believe this," to McQueen. McQueen replied, "Neither is mine."
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah. There's lots of, because it was one of them sort of epic films. The scale of it was, yeah.
Of the 57 sets built for production, only 8 remained standing when filming ended. So basically,
burn them all down.
Destroyed. So, and the last one is many bit player. Learn to weed.
Yeah.
Many bit players from the Poseidon Adventure also appeal. Fuck's sake. Many bit players from the Poseidon Adventures also appear in this film.
I didn't know that. No,
I didn't either until I wrote it down and then mullered it in my lack of reading abilities.
It's got. I tell you another thing about it. It's got a great score as well by John Williams. As well.
Yes, yeah. Do you know what? That's something we haven't spoken about. The score, the actual sort of music in films. So, which is something we should elaborate on on later films.
Well, we touched on it. We touched on it about Watership Down, didn't we?
Yes, we did indeed. So your pick number 5 is
the Towering Inferno.
Right, that's coming on the island with us. That's got a big fat star by it. So moving on to our number 6 pick.
Right. Well, no list in my book is complete without a James Bond film.
Oh, but which one?
Well, it would be the one that I always adored from my teenhood or childhood, should I say? It depends when I saw it, because obviously it was made in the 70s. But that would be The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh.
And one of my. Do you like it?
I love it.
One of my favourite Bonds.
There's only one Bond film that I do not like.
Go on in.
Dr. No.
That's the first one. Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
It's the first one. It sets all the standards, gets rave reviews. I just don't like it.
It's a bit static, isn't it?
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so.
Slow paced.
Yeah, I think they've done an excellent rejig of that with the latest films, but obviously that's a conversation for another day. But go on. So the Spy That Loves Me.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to strictly avoid talking about what the best Bond is. But what I will say is that this is my favourite more Bond film. Several elements. The Bond girl, I think, is stunning, and a clever little new twist on it as well, because she is initially wanting to kill Bond because Bond killed her lover.
I can't remember her.
But this is the actress Barbara Bach, and she plays Agent XXX for the KGB.
I just type in.
And
hello.
They have to work together, obviously, because on the mission to get Stromberg, who's got this maniac idea of basically murdering everyone on dry land so he can make a race of people, a society underwater. That's his maniac plan. So she's a strong Bond girl because she obviously has this undercurrent of wanting to kill Bond when the mission is over, kind of thing. And of course, as we all know, that doesn't happen, and they end up having a shag.
As most Bond girls do end up.
Yes, as they do. But I think she is a stunning-looking woman, and she plays it very well. that side is the gadgets, and I think one of the most famous Bond gadget, aside from the Aston Martin, is in this, and that is the submarine Lotus Esprit.
Yes.
Which is, when you first saw that happen on screen, you thought, fucking wow, that is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. And did you have it?
I did. I had a model of it.
Yeah.
Of course I had. I had the model of it in submarine mode.
Yeah. With little fins coming outside.
Yeah, because it was just a ridiculous car at the time, wasn't it? It was so left field, and they turn it into a submarine, and you don't even see it coming.
No.
He just suddenly drives off the pier. You think, what the fuck? What are you doing, James? What are you doing? And then it turns into a submarine. You're like, that is unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
So cool. And of course, this is also the first film that we see the dearly departed Richard Kiel.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Richard Kiel, as Jaws. And again, stunning, because a very scary, menacing Bond villain.
Yeah, yeah.
And
possibly the best Bond villain for me.
Certainly most iconic.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, like spaced out over a couple of films as well. So, yeah, yeah. And I think that added to the whole Roger Moore era.
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
he appeared in 2 films. He appeared in this and Moonraker.
Was it just 2?
Just the 2. No, just the 2. Mm-hmm. It was, but you got that. The teeth, the fight on the train, brilliant. The fight on the train with Bond and Keel, brilliant. Where he electrifies his teeth with the lamp, and then kicks him out the train. He just dusts himself off and says, and walks off.
Class. Good actor as well. Obviously, like in regards to acting ability, maybe not everything, but just this whole image and the size of the man, it was like
screen presence, wasn't it?
He was Jaws.
Menacing. You know, all the characters that obviously got murdered by him, and he was terrified of him, absolutely terrified. Giant of a man, and very imposing. Great Bond villain.
Yeah, definitely. So, favourite part of the film? Favourite bit in the film?
Oh, blimey! It is probably what I've already said. It's probably the sequence where they drive off the pier when they're trying to escape from the helicopter in the car, and the car turns into the submarine, and then they obviously destroy the helicopter from the sub, and the bit where they're flying around, and then obviously the culmination of all that sequence is when they drive out, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And they drive out onto the beach, and they have all them comedy skits with the bloke who looks down at his glass or his bottle of his drink. And then the most cheekiest bit is where Bond just casually opens the window and gives the passing person a fish.
Oh, yeah.
The guy is just as smooth as silk.
Only Bond, eh?
Only Bond. I know it's tongue in cheek, it's funny, but that's why it's so good. Yeah,
absolutely. So, right, moving on to the trivia part, we have a couple of good ones here. It was the first ever James Bond movie to be recorded in Dolby Stereo. Do you remember what that is?
I do, man. Once.
Obviously, progressed a little bit onwards from that, but no, actually, Dolby Stereo is still kicking about, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably is. I don't know. What sound do TVs use generally as standard nowadays? I ain't got a clue.
Oh, I don't know. Sky. I don't know.
No idea.
Singer Elvis Presley saw The Spy Who Loved Me, 1997, on Wednesday, August 10th, 1977.
Yep.
During a special viewing at the General Cinema in Whitehaven, Tennessee. It was his last ever movie before he died 6 days later on Tuesday, August the 16th.
Really?
At the age of 42.
It's not a bad movie to go out on.
No, he
not the worst.
He obviously enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So talking about iconic actors or iconic parts in the film. One of the first directors to be considered was a young man called Steven Spielberg. There was some worry about his inexperience, as he was caught up on an extremely late pre-production schedule for a little film he was making at the time called.
Weren't called E.T., was it? Or
no, it was called Jaws.
Oh, Jaws! It was Jaws. Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
Which iconically would provide inspiration for a major character in this film.
Yes. Oh, bloody hell, yeah. That's a lovely little bit of trivia there. Fantastic. That's the best bit of trivia all night.
Oh no, it gets better. It does get better.
Mm.
This is actually a very, very random one. The closing credits say James Bond will return in For Your Eyes Only, 1991. Right. But because of the success of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, 1977, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977, Moonraker was chosen instead. With obviously the space... with
the popularity of the space thing, yes.
Yes. And here's a bit of information about me. For Your Eyes Only is my favourite soundtrack.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, so brilliant. So just to recap, that was number 6, Chris, which was...
James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh, he loves me. Okay, brilliant. We're almost there, mate. Almost got your 8. So moving on to number 7.
Another classic, and again, we touched on a passed away actor. This is another one with which was a bit of a shock this year for a lot of people, because he was a fantastic actor, a fantastic comedian, and by all reports, a very, very nice chap. And that is my favorite film of his is Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those films that touches a lot of subjects that I'm really interested in, and it blends humour with drama in a very, very clever way.
Yeah, completely agree.
It's a perfect balance. It's one of those films where you can be laughing in tears 1 second, 2 minutes later you're almost in tears.
Yeah.
Because it's a serious subject. And especially, I think when it was released, it was even more, obviously in 87, 88, something like that.
87, I've got, yeah.
Yeah. It's always a raw subject with, especially Americans, and of course, people of Vietnam. So, but it had this, it didn't come across as very angry or anything like that, or too preachy, or the opposite. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It come across as saying it like it is, like it was, but this is the point of view from someone who can take it as it is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like
he explained it as that in his radio broadcast as well, like black and white. And then whenever he was trying to gloss it over, shit, what we doing, man?
Yeah, but war is hell, isn't it? And what can you do when you're in that situation? All you can do is try and laugh.
Yeah,
because it's the only thing that's going to get you through it.
And he done a fantastic job of making them laugh as well, didn't he? So.
He's the key. His performance in that is outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. And a lot, of course, as we all know, you're probably going to tell us about the trivia, but a lot of the radio broadcast bits were completely improvised.
Yeah, I've got them. Yeah.
And the people like Forrest Whitaker, which is one of his earliest films, of course, Forrest Whitaker, and a few of the other, they were genuinely laughing. They weren't laughing for camera. They were genuinely laughing their heads off at what Williams was doing.
Yeah. Which gives you can tell an actor to cry, you can tell an actor to laugh, you can tell an actor to be serious. If they're actually laughing and they're actually crying and they're actually being serious, it comes across on film as well.
You can tell in that first radio broadcast he does that the three guys that are in there with him, they are genuinely laughing their fucking bollocks off.
Yeah. You
can tell they are. You got Forrest Whitaker who's standing next to him and he can't contain himself. You got the other fellow in the other studio, he's laughing. But if you look carefully at him, sometimes he sort of like stops and sort of like looks away like he's off camera when he's still on camera. He then turns around and looks at what Williams is doing, and he suddenly falls out laughing again.
Yeah, maybe because he really generally didn't know what
he was going to say.
Yeah, what was humour and what was being filmed or whatever. So, a favourite part in the film?
Oh, that first radio broadcast is just legendary funny.
Yeah.
You got to replay it like several times. Because the quick fire gags are so funny, and the impressions, of course, that he does as well. It's difficult to pick a really good. I don't know whether to pick a really dramatic moment of it. either, because they're really good as well. I think the classroom sequence is funny as hell. When he's teaching the Vietnamese locals to speak it American English.
Yeah.
That is hilarious, because he has the conversation with one of the Vietnamese guys about when people are talking rubbish, they are full of shit. And he says, no. How can a person be made of shit? It's impossible. No. But you can step in shit and you can be full of crap. that bit is just hilarious.
He will be surely missed, won't he?
Yeah. I tell you what, that scene is not only made by Williams, but it's also made by the actors playing the Vietnamese locals. Because I think, especially the old fella. Plays the older fella who can't get the English words right at all.
Yeah.
That is funny, so funny.
Yeah.
And of course then it switches to, obviously he gets involved with the local militia, which he doesn't know about initially, and then he befriends their leader, doesn't he? Of course.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And he doesn't know that initially, and then they had the dramatic showdown sequence where he chases him through the back streets. There's so much. Honestly, it's difficult to pick my favourite part of that film. But I have to, because you're going to pressure me, aren't you?
I am. See what? I cry. And you know what happens when I cry?
It's probably, yeah. I'm just going to say when he first does the first radio broadcast, when he first screams, "Good morning, Vietnam!" When he first does that, yeah, that's nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When he first does that sequence is just relentlessly hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes the film.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I agree. So, my little moment of reading mishaps. The movie was filmed in Thailand, not Vietnam.
Yeah.
On the back cover of early copies of the film, I presume that we're talking like VHS copies of the covers, street signs can be seen in Thai, and obviously not Vietnam. So, which is something that I would never have picked up on. But
no, I know they look the same to me, Vietnamese and Taiwanese. Yeah.
Quite an interesting thing. Right, here's a question for you. It's not a question. I'll read it and then we'll have a question.
Go for it.
The fourth highest grossing film in 1987, making approximately 123 million in the US alone. Now, what other films beat it in 1987?
87? Is that when Back to the Future 2 came out? No, that was later, wasn't it? That was 98.
Right, I'm doing cheating now. 1987 films.
God blimey, you got me there.
Oh, right, okay, I got you. Right, Beverly Hills 2.
Pretty Woman?
Was that?
Late?
Let me reel the list off here.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Chris, my show. Beverly Hills Cop 2.
All right.
Full Metal Jacket.
Huh.
Three Men and a Baby. Oh dear.
Oh, God.
The Untouchables. Lethal Weapon. This is definitely beat Good Morning Vietnam. Predator.
I'm not sure. Good film, but Superman. Oh, bloody yeah. Well, Superman wins that, doesn't he?
Superman 4. The Quest for Praise.
Oh no, Superman 4 doesn't.
The Witches of Eastwick. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Fatal Attraction, The Princess Bride, The Lost Boys, Throw Mama from the Train, RoboCop.
Oh,
Harry and Henderson's.
RoboCop was 87, was it? I thought it was 86.
No, 87.
Oh.
Harry and Henderson's, Good Morning Vietnam, The Secret of My Success, Moonstruck, Amazon Woman on the Moon, and Angel Hearts. That's all the films that were released in no, of course not.
A lot of rubbish there, but then again, a lot of good.
Yeah, yes, quite. RoboCop, Lost Boys.
Yeah, it's okay.
Predator, Lethal Weapon, Untouchables, and Superman.
Yeah, they're good.
No,
Superman 4 isn't.
Yeah, that was fucking turkey material.
Yeah.
Right, so that was pick number 7. Which was...
Good Morning Vietnam!
That's what it was.
Mm.
Right, so moving on to 8, which is your last one. And I know what's coming now, and this is an amazing film. And it is...
Stephen King classic. Excellent performances by many of the actors in it. And I will go on radio now and openly say this, one of the few films I will cry at, and The Green Mile.
Good man, great film.
Unbelievable.
Why The Green Mile?
I did not know what to expect when I first saw this. I always have a bit of a trepidation when I go anywhere near anything Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because I've enjoyed a lot of his work. But then again, on the other hand, I've disliked a lot of his work.
You're just waiting for the story to be absolutely amazing, and in the last 5 minutes, a big goblin comes out and sort of eats everybody.
Yeah, things like that piss me off. For instance, didn't enjoy Carrie, but I did enjoy Christine.
Yeah, Christine's an amazing
film and book.
Yeah.
I even liked the rip-off of Christine, which was Maximum Overdrive, which is a terrible B-movie horror film, but it's still quite funny.
The rest of us, isn't it?
Yeah, the rest of it, but still quite. It's half amusing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the subject. Hated, and I mean hated it. Hated it.
Ooh.
I can't. I don't like clowns, and especially horror clowns. No, can't stand it. But The Green Mile, it's obviously based in reality with a bit of a fantasy twist. But that fantasy twist is very mild, isn't it? It's not forced down your throat.
Yeah.
But it's very well incorporated into the storyline, and it's very graphic. Tugs at your heart and your emotions and your morals a lot. You don't know really. It's a very difficult film to watch in a lot of ways if you're not really morally down, because you don't know what to feel a lot of the time, especially about the lead character, Michael Clark Duncan, another passed away actor.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan, John Coffey. You kind of love him, but you do. In the end, of course, at the end of the film, you do love him, but at the beginning of the film, you're hating him because you think he's murdered these 2 kids. But he hasn't.
Yeah.
And it's a tragic story, the fact that he takes the blame for murdering these 2 little girls.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. It's just terrible. I might actually welling up now. It's honestly, it's not fair. It's so unfair on him.
Yeah.
But he's the bigger man, and he accepts it and says, "Look, I've lived on this planet for too long. I saved so many people, and I just see hate and hurt and pain everywhere." And he wants to end it, and you see that through Tom Hanks' eyes.
Yeah.
And that's the other bit of it, is where he again, and numerous times he's performed brilliantly. It's Tom Hanks, but for me, this is one of his most epic performances, because he portrays the emotion that you're feeling on screen.
Yeah. Do you know what you saying that is quite a statement, because he has done some fantastic films where the emotional really comes out. But totally agree with you, mate. Totally agree. I think the whole moment where he starts to believe.
Yeah.
You start to believe.
Mm.
And that's down to Tom Hanks's ability and act in that moment. So
you're learning the film as he's learning.
Yeah.
Brilliantly done.
Yeah.
As he realizes what actually is happening here, you're learning as well while you're watching it, and you think, wow, it's very, and there's so many different painful sequences in it. And when I say they're painful, then they are engrossing to watch.
Yeah.
Engrossing, even though they are very difficult to watch on a moral level.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely.
I know we've gone all serious now, but that is a very serious film. People say it's a fantasy drama. It is a fantasy drama, but
it's got a story.
It's very deep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very deep. And wow, the ending is just absolutely heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah.
On many levels.
Yeah. But we won't go into that because that will spoil.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it. Please watch it, because it's...
The favourite part of the film, yes, do go and watch it, because it is a great film. Favourite part of the film, Chris?
I don't know whether to pick one because it does have light-hearted parts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One of the most touching parts I really like is the bit where it's kind of sort of like a little bit of comedy in there, but only very mildly. But it's a very nice, touching gesture, and I think it's one of the points where Tom Hanks starts to respect John.
Yeah.
And realise that the man is a miracle. And it's when he cures him of his urinary infection.
Yeah.
And he has a great night with his missus.
Yeah.
And he comes back the next morning and his missus has baked him some cornbread.
Yeah.
And he gives the cornbread to John.
Yeah.
And John's reluctant to take it initially. And the way John sits down and eats the cornbread like it's the best thing he's ever eaten.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he gives a bit of it to Delacroix, the French guy who's got the mouse.
Yeah.
And obviously refuses to give it to the Psycho, who we know. Well, I'm not going to say it because it will spoil it.
Yeah.
That bit is really touching, and it's so nice. It's a real warming part of the film.
Yeah.
He's helped Tom's character out. Paul Edgecombe, isn't it? That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. He's helped him out, and he sort of delivers this cornbread with a smile to say, "I know you're not really." It's like a gesture of saying, "I know you're not really a bad person, and I know you didn't really kill these girls."
Yeah.
And John is like acceptance of that. A great performance by Michael Clarke Duncan as well.
Yeah. And another top actor that's put his hand to a lot of different sort of characters as well.
Went too early.
Completely.
It went too early. It is for a big man, and the way he's got that. The thing about Duncan, he's got a look where you wouldn't expect him to be such a good actor.
Yeah.
You know, big, typical, stereotypical big black man, and it's not the case. He was a real clever actor.
Yeah,
he was
completely.
And Green Mile is he's so convincing, and of course the end sequence is just it blows your mind. The end bit just blows your mind.
Who was that guy that played Psycho?
Billy Bob. Is it Billy something, isn't it? Psycho Billy.
Again, a really good sort of actor.
Yeah, he can play a loony all right, can't he?
Obviously, when they bring him in, he's all sort of like.
It's Sam something. Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell.
Rings a bell, yeah.
Wild Bill.
That's the one.
Wild Bill.
So right, okay. So moving on to trivia before I do.
Tear up.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It is a serious film. It is quite.
No, I tell you what. Honestly, seriously, anyone listening, they probably think we're a couple of pussies. But I tell you what, even thinking about the storyline now, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a really upsetting. I can't put it into words. It's one of those films you can't put into words. When someone says, "Oh, what's so special about the Green Mile?" The best answer I can always say is, "Watch it."
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. That kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. You have to go and watch it. So, right, it was originally set in 1932. The time frame was bumped up to 1935, so the movie Top Hat could be featured. Do you remember the bit in Top Hat?
Yes, the bit where it's when Paul is because Paul is obviously telling this story to one of his residents.
Yeah.
And it's at the beginning, or it's at the beginning. I think it's at the beginning, isn't it? Yeah, because it makes him cry because it reminds him of the year.
Yeah.
And he's watching it as an old man, a real old man, and I mean that. And he's watching it, and it reminds him of the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Because he's very pained by it.
Yeah, completely. So, right, the prison guards wear uniforms to give the movie a better feel, even though uniforms weren't used in that time. Like 1935, obviously. So prison guards just walked around in jeans and
in civvies.
Yeah. According to one of the features on the DVD, Stephen King called this film the single most faithful adaptation of his work.
Yeah.
So sort of the closest to obviously how.
I've read the book. It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very close. I actually think, and this is a rare case of the film being more powerful than the book, though. I think, from my point of view, I could be wrong on that. A lot of people would disagree.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think because of the performances by Hanks and Duncan, it's more striking visually than literally.
Yeah. I think my next piece of trivia revolves around Hanks, actually. And to get your views on this, John Travolta was offered the role of Paul Edgecombe, but he turned it down.
Thank God he did.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Not taking anything away from Travolta, no, not for me.
That don't fit at all.
No, it doesn't, does it? Early in the film, Paul yells at Percy to get the fuck off my block, but it was later redubbed to get the hell off my block.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Maybe fuck wasn't a common.
Well, this is the thing. Maybe in 1935 they were a bit more sort of timid, or maybe they had too many swear words in the film anyway, and somebody requested them to edit one out. So
I think it might be. Even the use of the word hell back then was considered quite gratuitous.
Yeah,
probably wouldn't fit the decade, would it?
No. Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's probably why they removed it or changed it. Right, so number 8, Chris, was
fantastic film, The Green Mile. Tom Hanks, obviously Stephen King, and Michael Clarke Duncan.
Wonderful. Now here's the twist. Ooh. You get to bring 2 films which you haven't seen, and kind of you should have seen, and you're laughing. It was kind of you should have seen.
Yeah.
Right? Can you let me know one of those 2 films, please, Chris?
I can, but first, and this is a special surprise for you, my host.
A word from our sponsors.
A word from our sponsors. You've probably noticed I haven't picked a certain film or any films from a certain director. And if I may, some of my honourable mentions, if I may interject them before I say my films I haven't seen.
Of course you can.
I was going to pick a couple of films that have already been picked by previous guests, so I eliminated them because of continuity reasons. I could just nip across to their island and borrow their films.
Well, no, he's too busy playing games.
Oh, okay.
So,
but obviously,
if it's that tuber in question,
Back to the Future would have been in there, and obviously Terminator 2 would have been in there. But they were difficult to narrow down to 8.
Yeah, of course.
So, but they would have been there. So would Die Hard 1, actually.
I had a mind thing there, and I was thinking that was one of your 2.
It would have been. It was when I first wrote my list down. Back to the Future was the first on the list. Under the Fifth Element. But then when I heard John's show, when you had John on, I thought, no, I can't have the same film twice. So I've got loads of films on my shortlist anyway, including War of the Worlds, the film based off the book, which is my favourite book. Event Horizon, which is an amazingly gory sci-fi.
Yeah, well, one of the few films I had to look away from as well.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it makes you look away, doesn't it? It's very gory, and a lot of people forget it because it came out at the same time as Titanic. One of my favourite animations, aside from Watership Down, was the Animalympics, which is hilarious, with Harry Shearer of Simpsons fame.
Yeah.
And I was tied to choose a Pixar film because I love Pixar films as well. So, any of the above Pixar films, anyone, you pick them. Could have picked them. And Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in Stir Crazy. I love that film.
Yeah.
And of course, Monty Python's ever brilliant Life of Brian.
Oh, see, I went for Holy Grail.
No, I prefer Life of Brian. That is the best one. I can only pick between 2 anyway because I think Meaning of Life is rubbish. But anyway.
No, completely. So, Mike, let me get this right. Are these 2 films that you... These are honourable mentions, aren't they?
They're just honourable mentions. They're films I love and have seen. Sorry, I digress. And one of the films I haven't picked, I was going to say, was one of your favourite films, I believe, Mr. Horton, Mr. Gasket, which is Pulp Fiction.
Oh, for fuck.
Get it away from me. Piss off.
Do you know what? Why do I even invite these people on?
I don't know. You ain't got no taste in films, mate. It's crap.
Right. Hold on. You're saying piss off, get the fuck away from me. However, it's already on the island because John's bought it, so you're sat watching it. But you haven't seen it.
I am watching it. I am watching it. I'll go and fucking play with some sand grains or something.
You haven't seen it, so how can you? I
have seen it.
Oh no! These are films you haven't seen.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
well, in that case,
all my promos, all my hard work.
No, I don't pay attention to things like this. You should know that by now. Okay, well, you're going to shoot me down anyway then. You're going to shoot me down anyway. I haven't seen Goodfellas. Nope, no idea.
Are you interested in that?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a massive fan of these gangster flicks.
Right.
I have seen The Godfather and all the subsequent sequels.
I haven't.
But I again wasn't. I don't like. Actually, I know this. A lot of people are going to go slam the YouTube down in their face when I say this, but I don't like Scorsese. I don't like Scorsese's films.
I'll give you one thing. He's an acquired taste.
Yeah, him and Tarantino. I don't like their films. I honestly don't. I have watched them and I've given them the time of day, but I don't like them.
Yeah.
I just they don't. I can see why they appeal to some people, and I can see the mass appeal. But for me personally, for what I look for in a film, no, can't see it in their films. I don't. Who is Goodfellas directed by? But I've never seen it. I know everyone raves about it.
Scorsese, isn't it?
Is it Scorsese?
Yeah, I think he does.
I think it might be.
Let me just have a little.
Yeah, it's Scorsese. Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, Ray Liotta.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously didn't write it. Okay, so that's no, I'll give you that one because again, it's kind of like it's not everybody's cup of tea. Whereas, sort of if you came to me with I don't know Rocky or something like that, it's like no, sorry, get off my.
I've seen most of these films. That's the thing. I tell you what, picking two films that I would want to watch and I haven't watched it was quite tough.
Yeah, of course.
Because a lot of the time I've seen the film.
Well, this is why the twist is there, Chris. You see.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of guests that they haven't gone up yet, and a couple of their films are quite major, and it's actually shocked me that these people haven't seen these films.
But this is it. This is what I was going to say. If someone says they haven't seen Star Wars, I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
What do you mean you haven't seen Star Wars?
But then they might have been born in sort of 1990 or something. Where kind of where obviously when we were growing up, it was mass hysteria and what is this new thing set in like past the moon, So okay, Chris. So that's pick number one. Pick number two you haven't seen, but you want to see.
It's a film. I don't know whether I've got two choices here. I don't know whether to go with the classic one or the modern one because there's two films. They're both two films I haven't seen.
Chris, do you know what? I've got this separate pocket in my bag. You can bring both of them.
I can bring both of them. I'll go for the classic one first.
Okay.
Everyone raves about it. Says it's one of the best feel-good films ever, and even my fictitious universe of Red Dwarf, it's Lister's favourite film, and that's A Wonderful Life.
I've not seen it.
Everyone says it's so brilliant, and so it's black and white, obviously.
This is what I'm saying, Chris. That obviously that was before our era.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody, like mum, dad, so on and so forth, have seen it, and kind of sat down with their kids and watched it. If our parents weren't watching it, then we weren't watching it. So
1946 or something.
Wow.
1946.
Yeah.
But everyone says it's such a brilliant film, and I've never got around to watching it. And I always make a point of saying, okay, if someone raves about it, I'll have a watch. Yeah. And then I'll make a judgment after I've seen it, such as like we just discussed Pulp Fiction and bloody hell, the other one. Fucking hell, the Scorsese film, not Goodfellas. No, Godfather. I didn't like it. But anyway, but I made a point of watching it because everyone raves about it, and this is one of those films where I've never got around to watching it.
Yeah.
So, I've seen clips of it, And I tell you where I've seen the clips of it. I've seen, of course, in Gremlins. It's on the TV, isn't it?
That literally is a clip.
Yeah, it's on the TV, and when.
Yes. And the other one that you're sneaking into the island.
Yeah, sneaking. Again, another film that everyone sort of goes on about, and they always go on about how violent it is, and I can't believe that a film of this rating and the way it's billed is that violent.
What's the rating?
Probably, I think is it a 15? I don't know. It's Kick-Ass.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't have a clue what to expect.
It's more shock factor. I think you obviously know the bit with what's her name, where she's
swearing with the word cunt and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone says it's like really uber violent. I'm thinking, well, I've seen quite violent films. How violent can this actually be?
It's very violent. It is very graphic. However, it's done sort of in a kind of not slapstick, but kind of
Starship Troopers kind of way.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's a very good analysis, because it is done like that. It's done like, you chop your arm off, and then there's a camera angle that spins somebody around. So it's like, oh, let's highlight the arms coming off. Let's highlight all the blood. Yeah, let's make it look like we haven't just chopped his arm off, and it's a bit of fun, and we're filming. Does that make sense? If like somebody gets shot in the head, and you see it from the same Full Metal Jacket, when he sat on the toilet.
Yeah.
That's very horrific. If that happened in Kick-Ass, it would be done by multiple camera angles.
Right.
And she might look through his head and make some sort of wisecrack, that type of thing. So it'd be very tongue-in-cheekly filmed.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would enjoy that.
But
I'm not sure.
This is the thing. It is such a good film. It's such an entertaining film as well. So
maybe that's why I would take it, because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm very wary of it. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I think a lot of people maybe should dumb down the appraisal.
Yeah.
So then I could sort of like take to. I would have probably said, when it first came out and they hadn't said this kind of stuff about it, I would have probably gone straight in and seen it.
Yeah.
It looks like a parody superhero film. What's not to like about that?
Yeah.
But then everyone started saying, "Oh, it's got massive amounts of all this controversial stuff in it, and it's really gory." And I'm like, really? It doesn't look like it would be.
You know what? I watch it and I don't feel that at all. I don't feel that at all. I mean, it's got. Have you seen Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah.
Do you like that kind of?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That's the one, yeah.
I've only seen it once.
You didn't like it?
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't say it was bad.
It's that kind of setting, basically. It's kind of filmed that way. No, actually, tell a lie. It's not filmed in that kind of like manner, but it's filmed. Would
it be comparable with Watchmen, or is that far too serious and dark? Because I'm thinking about the scene in Watchmen where the prisoner gets his arms chopped off.
Yeah.
Is it that kind of?
No.
That's quite grotesque.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I think Watchmen is a much more serious film than Kick-Ass.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah.
That will happen in Kick-Ass, and it will be as graphic, and it be sort of filmed in that type of way. But then there'd be a wisecrack to sort of lighten the mood, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but again, that's not the sort of thing that I like.
No.
Yeah, personally, personal point of view, personal preference.
Yeah.
I like dark comedy is fine when it's used appropriately, but I don't know. I can't judge it. I'm not gonna slay it because I can't judge it. When I get onto the island, we'll find out, won't we?
We will indeed, mate. It's snuck in the side of my bag. and on that note, have you got any more mentions that maybe have made your list or?
Well, I do like the odd risque, cheeky film, a little bit of like sex comedy kind of thing. I wouldn't mind sticking Porky's in there because that's quite funny.
Confessions of a Bus Driver. Have you seen that one?
I made it. I starred in it. It was boring. No, Porky's I thought was a funny film.
Yeah, that's good. Again, that's our kind of era, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a sex comedy, but it's just funny. And when the teacher grabs his knob through the fucking wall and stuff like that, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't picked any out-and-out superhero films, and there's a reason, because I can't really decide which one I want.
No, fair shake.
I love Superman, the original one, Superman 2, classic.
Yeah, brilliant.
The Avengers is fantastic.
Yeah.
Iron Man 1. There's many I can pick, and I can't choose between them, so I thought I'd just negate all superhero films aside.
Yeah.
X-Men 1 as well, of course.
That's brilliant. X-Men 1 and X-Men First Class. I think it's
X-Men First Class is good, yeah.
For me, in order, First Class, then X-Men. So
X3 last.
There you go. So right, that's it for the show, guys. Chris, NovaBug, thank you very much for being my guest. It's been a great honour to have you on.
Thank you very much. Been a pleasure, mate. Been a pleasure.
You're more than welcome, mate. More than welcome. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will speak to you next week, or the week after, or next week, or Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers. Bye.